Choose one: wisdom, imagination. Both are valuable. Both are things we want our generation to have. But sometimes we find ourselves splitting the world into binary choices, one or the other, thinking we have to choose between being grounded or taking flight, not realizing that wisdom and imagination need each other. For imagination without wisdom can be impulsive, and wisdom without imagination quickly becomes dry. So what happens when education cultivates both equally? When we follow the model of a creator who both imagined form out of void and put wisdom into words? The Stony Brook School believes that when wisdom meets imagination, it produces great vision. And the world needs great vision. Innovation is happening so quickly today that it keeps outpacing itself, and we don't always have the eyes to see whether this is good. Our values get shaped by what's expedient instead of what's true. We want to be a generation of leaders with the vision to see the difference and the character to see beyond.
I'm learning to see beyond my own needs to how I can serve others.
I'm learning to see beyond just taking classes to the opportunity of finding new passions.
I see leadership as an opportunity to love people and to help them grow.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what job I'm going to have in the future, but I know that whatever's coming, I'm going to be confident and ready for it.
I'm learning to see beyond answers to the questions behind them.
I'm learning to see beyond my own culture to a bigger understanding of the world.
I want to help my students to see beyond even college and to see 10 or 15 years into the future into who they can be.
At Stony Brook, we're learning to bring wisdom and imagination together to create great vision. Because at the core, vision is an act of faith, requiring both wisdom to know the greatness of God and imagination to be open to His calling. Vision that puts conviction into motion and gives structure to a dream, that both chases and stands ground, that develops both the skill sets and mindsets for jobs that don't exist yet. Vision that accelerates, vision that serves. So, if we ever think we have to choose just one, wisdom, imagination, we will have the vision to see beyond. Choose one.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? It's such a beautiful day today, isn't it? And if that's any indication of how our lives together might be, I think we're going to have a great time. So my name is Luke Haywood. I'm the Director of Admissions and Financial Aid. And I've been in admissions for 15 years. And the last 2 years have been tough. And this is my first open house post-COVID where I'm connecting to beautiful human beings. I'm very happy to see you. Welcome to the Stony Brook School. It's such an honor to connect with families who are looking for the best for their young ones, for their son, their daughter. And my hope today is that your questions are answered. Not so much the how and the what, because you will get that, but the why. What makes Stony Brook so special? And to me, it's no better person to do this than our head of school. I once learned from John Maxwell, who says everything rises and falls with leadership. And a lot of times you have to look into the leadership of organizations to really determine how is that institution going? Will they thrive? Will they move forward? And it gives me pleasure to introduce our head of school, who for the last 10 plus years has taken an amazing institution in its 101st year that was already doing great things to a different trajectory of success and moving into the future with vigor and excitement. Help me welcome our head of school, Joshua Crane.
That's a lot of pressure, Luke. Well, welcome to you all. It is so good to see you here at our open house. and we're really grateful for the chance to be able to share with you the essence, I pray, of Stony Brook, who we are, the why, as Luke just mentioned. So let me do that. I want to say just a few words, and then we're going to have a panel discussion where you'll hear from students and faculty and parents about what it's like to be here. So, as Luke mentioned, I am in my 10th year of leading the Stony Brook School. I am the 6th head of school. We do believe in longevity around here. And I'm also the parent of 2 Stony Brook School graduates and 2 current Stony Brook students. So I speak to you not only as head of school, but also as a parent. Well, every generation has stressed the importance of education, but every once in a while, it seems like the stakes get even higher, to the point where it seems that very civilization itself depends on a preparatory education grounded in truth and in virtue. An education that equips people to cut through the noise, to separate fact from fiction, to discern truth from error. An education that promotes a healthy, sustainable pathway forward for humanity. And while you may not be willing to go that far and think that's a little hyperbolic, okay, I would surmise, though, that there is consensus in this room that we are in a very important time in our country and in our world. There's uncertainty out there. The term VUCA world, I don't know if you're familiar with that. VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. It seems that we're living in that kind of world these days. And there are loud voices all over the place shouting at us regarding the way forward. Who should we trust? Who should we listen to? What kind of future do we want, and how do we get there? The good news is that Stony Brook is not undone by this kind of turbulence that exists in the world today. At Stony Brook, we've been thinking deeply about these kinds of questions for over a century now. And our program is designed to give young people the foundation that they need to help answer these questions in their generation. Well, if you've done any research on us at all, and Stony Brook parents are the type that have, so I'm going to assume that, you'll know that we are a 100-year-old school that is rich in tradition and history. We have a demonstrated track record of getting our students into the top colleges and universities around the world. 45% of the class of 2022 were accepted into the top 30 colleges and universities in this country. Our sports teams won a league-leading 13 championships last year. The baseball team went to the state championship. The sailing team went to the national championship. Our upper school robotics team built the fastest robot on Long Island and competed in Houston, Texas for the World Championship for the 4th time in 6 years of having a robotics team. Our Ethics Bowl team has made repeated trips to the national championship as recent as 2019, where they were placed 6th in the country. We have relationships with Cold Spring Harbor and Brookhaven National Labs, where our students have opportunities for internships. Our choir and orchestra are routinely recognized in competitions for outstanding performance, and we're even launching an experiment into space this year on a NASA rocket that will be performed at the International Space Station by astronauts. These things don't happen unless you have a program that delivers on its promise of excellence. But if I'm in your chair, I want to go a little deeper. Lots of schools talk about their accolades. That's not uncommon. But every school has objectives. Every school has a curriculum, has something that it is trying to accomplish in the lives of their students. And so I want to be very transparent up front with you about what we are trying to accomplish. And the video that we saw just a little bit ago gives it away. We are seeking to expand our students' vision, and that in 3 ways. We want to expand their vision for the world, for themselves and for God. First, for the world. One of the most important aspects to understand about the Stony Brook School is its diversity. We have students from 20 different countries and 13 different states and all across Long Island from Queens to the East End. We have people from all different socioeconomic backgrounds, ethnicities, and races, and what this necessarily means is that it's educational just being here, just showing up and hanging out. Your roommate may be from China, your lab partner from Nigeria, your teammate from Germany, your best friend from Southampton. You will make friends with people from all over the world and likely lifelong friends. This exposure is essential because what we are understanding about today's world is how important cross-cultural competency is. That ability to get along and work well with people who are different than you are. We give our students every opportunity to learn about different cultures firsthand as students work and play and study together. We also believe a great deal in educational travel. This chance to get people off of this campus into different cultures, into different countries, to experience firsthand learning in another place. This summer, we'll go to the Galapagos Islands. We've got a Europe trip planned and a couple of others. We really want our students' vision of the world to expand during their time here. Secondly, we want to expand our students' vision for themselves, for their talents, for how they've been wired, who they are. It's the most fascinating subject for us on this campus, I promise you that. We work really hard to get to know our students. We have an advisory program where every student is in a group of 8 or 9 others under the tutelage and care of one of the adults on this campus who will serve as their guide through all of their Stony Brook experience. Through the process of getting to know you, we want to help you to get to know yourself. We are big on personality tests and strengths inventories. We use ability batteries and strengths finders personality tests that our students might get a better understanding of how they're prone to react in certain circumstances and situations. Every junior in the college process utilizes a battery called U-Science. These tests give them insight into the full person that is inside waiting to be called forth. And let me tell you, the way college and career is going, the person who has a better understanding of what they're good at, what they're interested in, have a much clearer and better pathway. In my day, you could wander through college and figure out what it is that you wanted to do. That's when it used to be a little bit less expensive. These days, that's a cost-prohibitive prospect. So we really want to give kids the opportunities to get in touch with what they're good at, what they like, what's inside. That's really important for us. Our whole college counseling program is built on this concept. And we know that there are 6 or 7 colleges out there that everybody wants to get in. But for us, and we do get folks into those schools, but for us, it's about fit. It's about finding someone's talents and interests and abilities and matching them with the right school. And it delights us to get that call from the student who says, I'm really happy here. Our curriculum is designed to give you opportunities to explore new interests and discover new passions. 2 times a year, you may have heard about this on your tour, we offer what are called mini courses. 25 different courses that students get to pick from. Everything from fashion design, to building guitars, to forensics, to interdisciplinary study of the play Hamilton, to building drones and submersibles. We want you to try things out and find out what you enjoy studying. And that might serve as a possible place for future career exploration. Understanding yourself is a lifelong pursuit, and we want to give you a good head start at the Stony Brook School. And lastly, we want to expand your vision for God. Some of you are here because this is a Christian school, and we are really glad about that. If you want to grow in your faith here, there are plenty of opportunities, from chapel to Bible studies to our youth group Driven. We give people the opportunity to grow. We delight in discipling and mentoring young people in their faith. But if the Christian mission is not a part of why you're here, and you wonder what it's like to be a Hindu or Muslim or Jewish or someone who's really not sure about faith at all, you don't know what to believe about religion. Well, that's okay, because being Christian school doesn't mean that we're trying to convert you. Big disclaimer, that is not our job. What our job is to get you to realize that the spiritual part of your being is not to be minimized as it relates to your schooling. You see, there are a lot of schools out there that say, oh, religion, no, that's for Saturday or Sunday. We're not going to touch that stuff. The problem with this thinking is that you bring your whole self, the spiritual side, included Monday to Friday, to the classroom. And so we want to give you the tools to think deeply about faith, no matter what stripe it is. It's an integral part of the Stony Brook School education. So we're going to ask you big questions. Who is God? Why are we here? What is our purpose? What is the good life? We find that the pursuit of these questions leads to much good thinking and dialogue that affects our lives, no matter what religion we might be. Lastly, as you've noticed, our motto, it's character before career. For 100 years, the Stony Brook School has said that who you are when no one is looking, it really matters. And in this world where people's talent has outrun their character, it seems that character is more needed than ever. So how do we teach character here at Stony Brook? Let me give you 3 ways. The first is we stretch you. We stretch our students. The Stony Brook School schedule is designed to cause students to hustle. With rigorous courses, 2 sports a year, mandatory jobs helping around campus, and lots of leadership opportunities where you will be called on to do meaningful work that is essential to the life of our campus. You will be pushed here to be your best self. Time management, hard work, prioritization, self-sacrifice are all necessary to thrive at the Stony Brook School. Yet through these challenges and through stretching your ability, you will develop the ability to persevere, which is a bedrock for strong character. Perseverance is the hallmark of a Stony Brook student. Secondly, we have a clear standard here of right and wrong, and we're unafraid to enforce it no matter who the student is or what family they come from. Our students know what the rules are, and they know what will happen if they transgress them. That creates the clarity and stability that young people need in order to thrive. And lastly, we have wise guides and mentors who are committed to walking with our students through their good choices and their bad ones. Through a rigorous interview process, we only select the kind of people who you feel good about leaving your child with for 2 hours a day, 5 hours a day, however long it is over the course of the school year. Deep character is a non-negotiable for our teachers, and we ask them to model it in all aspects of their lives in teaching our students. In closing, let's bring it back full circle. Remember those questions that I asked at the outset of our time together, which may seem like a long time ago? In a time of danger, who should lead? Who should we follow? What is the future and how do we get there? We believe that the answers begin and end with character. Proverbs talks a lot about this. And here are 3 verses that speak to the importance of character. The integrity of the upright guides them. The righteousness of the blameless keeps his way straight. Righteousness guards the person of integrity. A person's character will guide them, will guard them, and keep them on a straight path, even through times of turbulence. This is the value of a Stony Brook School education. And it may just be more valuable now than ever before. Thank you for listening. I'll tell you just briefly, we have pretty exciting plans for the future of our school. We are in the process of a campaign to add 3 new buildings to this campus. They'll be fit in the right places, don't worry, it will look good. But we're going to be adding a new dorm, replacing an old one. We're going to be building a STEM building to enhance and increase our abilities to better serve our students in the areas of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and aeronautics as well. And we'll be building a welcome center where folks like you can come on campus for the first time and see how to be oriented to the rest of the campus. So it's an exciting time to be part of the Stony Brook School. Yes, times are challenging out there, but we believe in a big God who can do immeasurably more than we ever ask or imagine, and we have great hopes for our future. So we're grateful to be able to share that with you today. I'd like to introduce now and have our panel come up and take their places, and we'll have a chance to hear from them. And I'm gonna do my own stunts and move this podium this way. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you all to just introduce yourselves, say what you do here, and how many years you have been at the Brook. Okay, so we'll just go down the line to give folks an orientation, and then we'll open it up for questions, and we've got runners who will bring you a mic, and you can ask any question that you would like. All right, start with you, Dustin.
Hello, my name's Dustin Moniz. I'm the athletic director here, and I coach baseball as well, and this is my 7th year at Stony Brook.
Hello, good morning. My name's Anna McDonald. I am the chair of the art department here at Stony Brook, visual arts, and I coach rowing, and I was actually born here, so I grew up on this campus, and I've also taught here for 10 years, but also I'm an alum of the school. So.
Morning, everyone. My name's Chad Perney. I'm the director of Student Life. Almost forgot. Director of Student Life, and I've been here for 2 years.
Hi all, my name is Daniel Kim. I'm the Monroe Dorm Prefect, and I've been in Stony Brook School for 4 years.
Hey everyone, I'm Lily Keegan. This is my 6th year here. I'm a senior. My sister also graduated here in 2019. I'm the school's head prefect, along with a varsity volleyball captain and a varsity track and field captain.
Hi, I'm Georgia Apozidis. I'm the admissions prefect. I've been here for 6 years. I'm also the varsity lacrosse captain, and my brother graduated here in 2020.
So guys, I'm Joshua. I'm in that dorm, Hegeman right there. When you come up Chapman, there's a dorm right there. I'm a DC in Hegeman. I'm also part of activities, admissions. Yeah, those are some of the councils I'm on. Nice to meet you guys. Oh, this is my 3rd year. Yeah, my 3rd year here. Been here since I was a freshman. I'm a junior now.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Liu. I'm co-director of college counseling. I'm also one of the faculty sponsors for the Asian Student Union, and most importantly, I am also faculty sponsor for our prom committee.
My name is Tonya Detweiler. I'm the Dean of Students here. I had the honor and blessing, like Anna, of being born here, raised here, went to school here, and my 3 children have all graduated from here, so happy to talk with you as alum or as a parent or as a current faculty member. I'm in my 28th year of working here.
Hi, my name is Jeff Smith. I'm the Dean of Academics here. It's my 1st year in this new role, but I've been here for 12 years. We taught every 9th grader in our Humanities 9 class for about a decade, and I actually proposed to my wife in Hageman Hall, Josh. And so it's home for me as well.
So great. So really, any questions? We should have good representation here for your questions. I think we've got it covered, but we'll start right there. Outstanding. We got a mic right behind you.
Good morning. My name is Claudia Bamorum. I am the mother of a present 10th grader. I'm just curious, coming in as a junior, how difficult a transition would that be for my daughter, and do you have students that would help her with the transition or an orientation, or how would that work?
Yeah, so I've been here since a 7th grader, so I can't speak but a lot of my friends actually came junior year. So since we start in 7th grade, there are students who have been here for 6 years. However, we have new students every year, so it's not the type of school where if you come new, you're isolated or it's hard to make friends. Because of like the schedule and how many activities we have, I think making friends on campus is actually quite easy. And there are students like the prefects and other students like in leadership who are really there to make that transition easier. So I would say like a transition is not something that Stony Brook struggles with. They try to make it really easy for new students to like get back into the swing with the students who have been here before.
More question. So my daughter, Lily, was our guide today, but she plays volleyball. So in terms of coming in as an athlete, when could she try out for the team? And would that be something she could do before school started so she could play?
Yeah, so all of our sports tryouts happen at the beginning of the season, so she won't be missing anything coming in as a new student. The first week of school is our tryouts, so volleyball's in the fall, so she'll have that opportunity. And going back to your last question, I know I kind of covered this on our tour, but I had a really close friend who just graduated last year, and she came during her junior year. And at the end of senior year, you never would have known she was only there for 2 years. She stepped into a role as chapel prefect and was fully integrated into our community. So, like, yes, it feels like you're coming in late to the game, but I promise you, no matter when you come, you'll be fully part of this community and have the same opportunities as everyone else.
It's very nice to hear.
Question there.
Hi, my name is Kevin Daler. Sorry, from Sag Harbor, and I have an 8th grader who's entertaining coming here and really excited. For Dustin, for baseball, if there's a varsity team, but no JV team, could you describe what the process would be for an 8th grader up until the big team?
Yeah,
Thank you.
so for baseball specifically, we have 3 teams currently. So we have a varsity, a JV, and then we have a development team that stays with us in the fall. So we actually don't make any cuts in baseball currently. And the goal is for Stony Brook athletics in general is to cut the least amount of students possible from our teams. Every single student will wear a jersey here. Everyone participates in 2 sports. We have some sports that are geared to students who haven't played a ton. If you're not a serious athlete, there are sports that can kind of accept those students. But we all put the Bear jersey on and know what it means to play with a team and be an athlete on campus.
Hi, I wanted to ask what the performing arts opportunities are at the school in terms of musical and other kinds of things.
I think I can answer that one. We have one production every year, major production. On some years, we've had students who are very interested in theater rally together and produce a smaller second production based on their vision, their interest, if they want to go beyond just that one production. But every 3rd year, we have a musical, so we try to incorporate as many students as possible. And that fulfilling that, if you are accepted into the cast, or there's so many other programs they can get involved in, whether it's building the set or the tech crew or the green room. We can sometimes have 60 kids involved in the production, and so it's very inclusive, but that counts as a sport for one season. They do need to compete in another team if they're doing that per year. But does that answer your question? Do you want to also you're interested in the music choir or chamber singers? They have a great orchestra, and they divide into more experienced and less experienced groups, so that younger musicians or less experienced musicians can be nurtured and challenged, and then progress on to their full orchestra. It fills the whole stage here. They practice here every day. They pull all their chairs out and put them away. It's a really great program that's run.
Also, just going off of that, so Lily concert choir, which is just you sign up, anyone can join, and then chamber choir, which is you audition for it, you make it in, and it's a little more like rigorous, I guess. There's more competitions. We're traveling to Maryland. We're traveling to Maryland in November. We're actually going to a competition in Universal, so that's a little bit more. If music is your thing, to go deeper into that.
As Mrs. McDonald was saying, you don't need to be in that top choir to be involved. I started in middle school. I had no prior experience, and then I joined concert choir, which is just the normal high school choir. And then after a couple of years of that, I tried out for chamber singers. So there are so many opportunities here, and also in sports. Like I'm a varsity volleyball captain now, but I did not play volleyball 5 years ago. I used to dance. I came into this school playing an alternate sport. I wasn't even planning on wearing a Stony Brook jersey. I used to do dance every single day, but I was like, hey, I want to join a sports team because I saw all my friends and I was like, I want to be a part of that. So I joined volleyball in the 9th grade. I started on JV, and then because they were able to prepare me so well, now I'm a varsity volleyball captain. So through the arts, through everything, through leadership, through sports, you are able to go so many different places, and there's opportunities for everyone.
Ava, there's a question.
Hi, I'm Ayana Telford. My daughter, I have two questions. First one is regarding development as a visual artist. My daughter is currently an artist now, so if I could think of from Ms. McDonald with regards to the visual arts program. And then my second question is with regards to Christian discipleship, and what are some of the things that are done here to help with that as well?
Sure. We have an AP Art program that we recommend students prepare leading up to that if they really want to go to an art school, an art college. I used to be a professor of art at a college, and so I feel like particularly enthusiastic about helping students know what they need to prepare well for that environment and how to establish a career and connections for a real career in arts. Creativity is in demand, and I believe it's not a liability to train as an artist. It's an asset. And so we really instill early on the attitudes that are necessary. We really focus on attitude building and not just how to be talented and have technique, but to build trust in a studio with other students. Do you feel that you can be yourself? Do you feel that others trust you? When you leave the room, are they gonna speak well of you? So I really am protective that our classrooms are just culturally literate and that we expose our students not just to training and technique, but how their inner story, who they are, and knowing what's happening in the world connect. So there's a lot of internal and external research that goes on. We have a digital path to AP art, including graphic design and photography and videography, and then we have a more traditional path to AP art that includes studio art and advanced art, and we have ceramics, we have 3D studies that involve architecture, product design, interior design, and we just try to get them rolled up their sleeves and exposed to as many things as possible. But then also in the mini courses, there's jewelry making, wax carving, lots of other art opportunities. Learn to paint if your child hasn't done any art and they want to dabble and kind of they feel shy, but they want a safe place. There's fashion design. So there's just a lot of variety for a school of our size.
Chad, can you speak to the spiritual question about discipleship?
Sure. So most of the opportunities on offer are voluntary. The one thing that is not is chapel. We do that as a community regularly throughout the week and on the weekends. But we do have our student-led youth group, Driven, where not only the leadership of Driven, they're discipled through some of the adults that run the Christian Life team, but also the students that show up there, as well as Bible studies. What's cool about boarding school, though, is if you're here, you're going to eat with your teachers. A lot of those teachers are living in the dorms with you, so a lot of that actually happens naturally just by relationships. And I'd actually say that's our process or technique of discipleship, that we get to know your kid, we know who they are, what they stand for, and then, you know, the questions and the relationships and the formation actually comes by getting to know them and loving them well. So, you know, I personally live in a dorm. I get to see these guys day in and day out, and I know when they're having a bad day. I know when they're having a good day. I know that when they want me to ask, or I know when they say, hey, will you pray for me? I pretty much know what that's about, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I would say it happens by extension of relationship. What's great about Stony Brook is all of the faculty that work here, in some rhyme or reason, say, hey, like, I'm a Christ follower. I love God. So it happens by virtue of relationship.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Brianna Donovan, and I live in Port Jeff. And I just wanted to know, what is the relationship like between the day student and the boarding student, or the 5-day boarder and the 7-day boarder? If you could just speak to that.
So I'm a day student, so I can talk about that, and then Daniel is a boarder, so he can kind of go. Yeah, so I'm a day student. I live in St. James, so I'm right here. Most of my friends are boarders, actually, so there's no like division between day students and boarders. Obviously, boarders are going to be a little closer. They're living together, they're eating dinner together, but day students are welcome to those things. So I've stayed for dinner, I've stayed for driven, I stay after school almost like every day. So yeah, there's definitely like no opportunities that are really exclusive to day students. It's really like I'm here every weekend, I stay after on weekdays, so there's no like division between the two.
Yeah, I think Georgia summarized it perfectly. There's really no exclusion between the boarders and the day students. There's a lot of opportunities that are offered both to day students and boarding students. And even though I was a boarding student for 4 years, a lot of my students are day students, so you really don't have to worry about any exclusion between day students or boarding students.
Some questions down here in the front row. One get up there.
Hi, we just had a few questions. We will have a possibly 7th grader that would come on board, so could you go over what that is like for them, what to expect coming from another school? And then we did have a second question on crew and tennis. He's currently on junior crew in Northport and junior tennis, so they're not official leagues, they're outside of school. But he's been on both of those for 3 years. So we were wondering kind of when can they actually start and what the requirements are for that. And lastly, my third question is robotics and engineering for middle school students. If you could go over some of the STEM opportunities and how you introduce STEM to those 7th and 8th graders.
Great. Lots of good questions there, and I think they'll be handled by some different people here.
Just a clarifying question. When you say come on board, did you mean as a boarding student or just as a day student? Okay.
Great. I can talk to questions 1 and 3, if that's okay. In terms of coming in as a 7th grader, there's about 30 or so students in our 7th grade, sometimes a little bit less. What that brings about is a really great student-to-teacher ratio. The classes are small, very intentional, very discipleship focused. Our 7th grade program has uniquely essentially 2 English classes. They have English 7 writing and English 7 literature. We're very focused on developing them as writers, as thinkers, as folks who are curious about the world around them and about the people around them, and these big ideas. Our curriculum in general is built around these big picture questions. The 7th grade doesn't have an enormous amount of sort of course registration freedom, which is by design intentionally, especially with that, so that they can be really focused and be this really great unit. And as they move on to 8th grade, and then especially in 9th grade, it opens up and they can explore more options. One of the great things about our 7th and 8th grade curriculum in general is that STEM is one of the things where they can begin to explore in their curriculum very excitedly. Our science class in 7th and 8th grade is called STEM 7 and STEM 8, which is some project-based learning. Our teacher for that, Mr. Yoder, is amazing. They're doing things down the hallway, and they've got all sorts of awesome projects and great sort of resources at their fingertips for that. They are also allowed, especially in 8th grade, to start taking some of the high school level STEM classes. There's a middle school robotics team that they're able to join for an after-school sports credit, but also it takes place during the academic day if they would like to. They can start on their programming, sort of computer programming, STEM programming, things like that. Essentially our intro level, sort of maybe freshman level STEM classes can begin in the 8th grade if a student is inclined to do so.
Yeah, I can answer some questions about rowing crew. We call it rowing because we are primarily sculling. We do some sweep rowing, but we think it's really healthy for the students to get that symmetrical training. It also helps them get more noticed. They can compete in a single and a double and a quad as well. We just seat race this weekend for the Head of the Charles. We have 6 boats bound for the Head of the Charles, and last year, in our first year of existence, we made nationals, which was kind of ridiculous. We were on a plane down to Florida. So we have a great group of international students. We also collaborate with a club that has a coach who coached an Olympic rower to a 7th place finish and the Polish team to the 1st place in Worlds a couple weeks ago. So we have some incredible access to coaches and supervision on the water. It's just really fun, and the kids love each other.
Right, and as far as tennis goes, he'll have the opportunity to try out for the tennis team in the spring. That's when we do boys tennis. The girls do tennis in the fall. Yeah, we have great coaches there and great courts on campus, and we have a pretty strong tennis program.
Great. Some other questions here in the front row I saw. Oh, we got one behind you, and then you.
I was just wondering, is it possible to participate in sports, theater, band, and chorus, or does a choice have to be made somewhere down the line?
Yes, so you can participate in sports. TAS is in the winter, so during that season, if you wanted to play a winter sport like basketball, wrestling, swimming, that would be harder. So usually that's not something we typically do. You would focus on TAS in the winter. Choir or orchestra, they're throughout the day, so that doesn't conflict with sports or theater. The only thing is choir and orchestra, usually you would choose one. However, if you're someone who's really interested in the arts and taking both is really important to you, Mr. and Mrs. Ramirez, who are arts directors for that, they work with you. There are a couple students who take both and are in both concerts, they do both competitions, so that they're really flexible with that.
So you would have to choose between the winter sport and theater?
Yeah.
We had another question right here, and then you're next.
Hi, my daughter will be entering, would be entering 9th grade, and we were interested in learning more about the sailing program, the tryout process, and where you're competing currently.
Yeah, I can speak to sailing. So we have a great sailing program here. Folks who have competed at the national level running that program. Yes, most of the students who try out for sailing, they do end up on a boat somewhere. So we have the opportunity to pretty much get anyone who wants to sail an opportunity to sail. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the tail end of that question, if there was anything.
Where you're competing, where the team is competing right now?
Sorry. So they actually, they compete all over the Northeast, but on the daily basis, we go out of Port Jefferson, so it's just a short drive, and they go there every single day. Yeah, and then on the weekends, generally, we have our competitions.
Hi, thank you. My name is Brian Bronson. I have a question about the academics. So for a student who's coming in potentially in 10th grade, can you talk a little bit about, from the moment of the initial sort of application, early assessment, how you differentiate what classes they're placed in, and then once they're in class, how you sort of differentiate or tailor to what extent can the education be tailored to their strengths?
Sure, absolutely. The academic office works really close with our good friends in admissions, and we will look over the transcript as students arrive. One of the things that we're working out is building what we're calling a 4-year plan, essentially a rough sketch, certainly in pencil and very flexible, of the classes that they sort of may take throughout the rest of their Stony Brook career. So if you're coming in their 10th and 11th, there's only a couple semesters, but they're also really important classes with your college goals in mind, et cetera. What we will do in terms of placement is we'll connect with you and we'll have a conversation over Zoom or over the phone or in person and talk through what your options might be. transferring in, we honor any class at a previous school. So if you took Spanish 1 at your previous school, you will sort of maybe automatically be slotted into Spanish 2 here. Sometimes, especially in math and foreign language, it might be necessary to take a placement test. That would be a one-time test sort of as you enter into the school. And it would sort of distinguish what class you'd be in. And we also have what we call an add-drop period over the first 2 weeks or so, where students can move up or down in a subject, or really drop a class entirely and add a new class entirely without penalty. And so our teachers, especially in our math department and our world language department, are very accustomed to this. Someone shows up in Spanish 3 and like, actually it's maybe a better fit for Spanish 2, and then our office is constantly doing these sorts of switches, and so we're very accustomed to it. But we try to provide that personal touch and conversation on the front end to make sure that everybody's clear on the lines of communication, and we're meeting the family and the students' goals and priorities.
Hi there. So our son Christopher would be entering the 9th grade next year. So just had a question. Given the proximity to the university, are there shared learning opportunities between the two institutions?
We are developing some really exciting things. We have a class that we are piloting this year and bringing next year called Advanced Scientific Research, and where we're helping students get internships and things, and it's something that there's more news to come on this year. Specifically with Stony Brook University, we have a couple limited partnerships, but with other institutions on Long Island, such as Cold Spring Harbor Lab and Brookhaven National Labs, where we have a student this year doing a really incredible job with a physics researcher there. He's going there 1 day a week and is essentially changing the world already. Another student last year did the same thing at Cold Spring Harbor Lab, I believe. Our mini course opportunities are also really wonderful for this. We typically have a couple classes where they'll go over to the university and they'll use their 3D design lab over there for an afternoon. I once took a digital humanities course over there, and we did some stuff in their library for a while. And so in terms of a long-term partnership, it's sometimes you take advantage of their opportunities, like WISE, which is Women in STEM and Engineering. But there's no official existing partnerships, other than we're doing a very intentional job of making our students and families aware of the opportunities around, and being flexible and pragmatic with their academic scheduling to allow those sort of projects and internships to develop.
Great. Time for a few more. There's one in the back.
Hello. Hi. Good afternoon. How are you? My son is it's currently 7th grade. Is going to 8th grade in the coming September, but his personality is kind of shy, and we want him to mingle with other kids to improve his social abilities. I think this is a very good school to fit, but I'm just wondering, as a boarding school student, I'm hoping he can have more time mingle with other kids, but do they have a student group to support that kind of kids, because it's going to be a different change. It's a big change for him from a different school to this boarding environment, which he never left home before. Thank you.
Well, when your son comes in, he'll probably be coming to Hagerman. I'm a DC in Hagerman, so us DC, like a couple times during the week, we'll have something called Women Prayer. Like we come in like small groups, and then we like talk to each other individually, see how people's day are going, see how people are doing. And like when school starts, we'll have Dorm Olympics, which is really a time when people get together. Like which is when I first came here, which is really how I got to know like a lot of my friends throughout the year, which is Dorm Olympics and just like stuff in the dorm. Like we'll stop by the people's rooms, talk to them for a little bit, see how people are doing. So over time, he'll start to feel more welcome and less shy, and then his personality starts to grow more, which is what I'm starting to see in a lot of the younger people that are coming into.
Also, to kind of continue with that question, I've been to 9 different schools in 6 different cities and 3 different countries. And out of like all those schools, I thought Stony Brook was the most welcoming, and the people here are very like kind. So even if your son is very shy, I think he'll just fine into the environment. And about the boarding life, I think in Stony Brook School, learning and growing happens outside of class. And for me personally, the lifelong learnings that I have earned in Stony Brook, they didn't come from like biology textbooks. They came from, you know, the 20-minute talk you have with your friends or like the sleepovers you have on Saturday night. So I think even if your son is very shy, if your son experiences that boarding process until graduation, then that will be a very fruitful process for your son as well.
We also have activities on the weekends. So those are, I mean, I'm a day student, but as a day student, that was really how I made my connections. So there are a lot of opportunities. Sports is another big opportunity. So getting to know those people on your teams, going to activities, joining councils. There's just a lot of ways for you to make connections with people in class, outside of class, in the dorms, in meals. There's just like a million opportunities for you to meet people. And I think even if you're shy at first, Stony Brook really gets you to come out of your shell. So yeah.
If I can add one thing, and actually, George, I'm going to ask you to speak on it. We have an amazing program specifically for 7th and 8th graders called the Mentor Program. And Georgia, you are a captain. Could you share with us about that?
Oh, I forgot about that. So I'm a mentor captain. We have this program called the Mentor Program where 7th through 8th grade students are partnered with sophomores through seniors. So it will be about 4, 5, 7th graders partnered with 2 upperclassmen. So in that group, you eat lunch together, and then you have time to do an activity, to go off campus, to bond. So it's really just another smaller group where new students, middle school students can meet older students who have maybe been in the school for a couple years. And they get to share their experiences, they get to make connections with younger students, and they become like mentors and guides for them. So I was a mentor before I became a captain, and the girls in my group who are now 9th and 10th graders, I've been friends with for years, and it's connections I probably wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to make in a normal high school where middle schoolers are separated from the high schoolers completely. So it's a really cool experience to be able to meet some younger students and just have younger students have upperclassmen friends.
Great. Ava, we had a question up there.
Hi, my name is Deanna Salson. I have a daughter who plays golf. Could you kindly talk about the golf program, where they practice? Is it co-ed and so forth?
Yes, golf is co-ed. They practice at Pine Ridge, which is about, I think it's like 15 minutes away from here. Steven Stortz is their coach. It's a pretty competitive team. They've done a good job over the last couple of years. Yeah, and she'll have the opportunity to try out in the fall. It's a fall sport.
Great. We had one question here.
I'm just curious, the boarding, we have options to apply as boarding student or day student, my daughter will be applying for 9th grade, but would that be a competitive application if she applies as a boarding student? I'm just curious, like, do you have enough rooms
Sure. Well, Luke will be able to speak a little bit more to that about the process, but there is obviously a limitation on beds. There's only so many that we have, and so it is, depending on what the demand is for boarding in that year at that time, it can fluctuate, but clearly the supply is limited on the bed side. But Luke can speak more about that.
Mr. Smith. My daughter, she'll be applying, as I said, for a 9th grade student, but she has specific interest for environmental science. I'm just curious if you have any specific programs for, for her or not.
Sure, we offer AP Environmental Science, which is a really exciting lab-based science class that is really popular with students really grades 10 through 12. Though if the entry requirements had already been met, we could talk about an earlier start date for that, although would be quite uncommon. The other things that I would add is, especially through our mini courses, there's a lot of really exciting opportunities there. We've had a lot of different sort of lab-based and project-based things where students go out on Long Island and do everything from beach cleanups to soil studies and sort of natural history of Long Island sort of things that have really gotten students out and about on the class. The APES, or AP Environmental Science class, is, as many of our AP science classes are, will occasionally have a double period. So that's up to 3 hours of class. It's not every single time, don't worry. But what that does do is allow them to get on a bus and go nearby to a local beach or a local river and do a hands-on lab. And so that allows it to be really exciting from that perspective.
Great. Well, I think we are at time, so I want to thank the panel, certainly, for your time here this morning. Appreciate you all being here, and thank you all for your great questions. I think we can dismiss the panel now if you guys need to go. And Luke will move this back.
Well, I'll be very quick because I'm between you and cookies, as you can see on the screen. So there's a lot of the why that you got from our panel, and I'm sure there's a few personalities in the room who want to know how do I apply, what's the how and the what. So I'll just go through this very quickly, but before I do that, I want to introduce the admissions team. They are the voices on the phone and the fingers typing emails and setting everything up. And a lot of times you may not reach me, but you will reach them. So I just want to introduce them all. We have Molly Starman. You can wave. You can give Molly a hand. Rosie Caston. And Deidre Milligan. All right, thank you so much. And they'll be outside to answer questions. And to give you an admissions packet as you leave. So quickly, our application is on our website, sbs.org/apply. You can either apply on our application or some of you may be on the standard application online. Either works. In terms of SSAT, that's actually optional this year. Somebody say yay? All right. So if you have that score, please still send it to us. We are a very holistic review process. We don't believe that we can learn everything about your awesome son or daughter by just looking at numbers or even grades on the transcript, as important as transcripts are. So we look at parent statements, essays, recommendations, and also we have an interview for about 20 to 30 minutes with the applicant just to ask a few questions and get to know you better. In terms of, you were asking about competitive, it is a competitive pool. I want to scare you into applying quickly. Our early decision deadline is December 12th, and our regular decision is January 20th. We get about 500, a little over 500 complete applications. We review them very carefully to find the best fit for your family and our institution. Jackson, next slide. Thank you. So these are the ways to connect with us. You probably know this already, but this is our email, admissions@sbs.org. We just started a new Instagram page. So I'm just going to shout that out, SBS Admissions. Follow us. We'll be seeing who are following us. Right, we'll put some important information on there. You have our numbers, you have our website, you have our email. If you have more in-depth questions about the application process, feel free to come up to any of us outside. How many people had an amazing tour with a student earlier? Could we just give them a hand? They are absolutely the best representations of the student experience. And if you miss that, there's one more opportunity right outside these doors for you to get a final tour, or if you want to see a boy dorm or a girl dorm, they will have signs outside and you can have either of those experiences. I just wish you the best. Hope to see you next summer for orientation, and God bless you all as you travel home.